Greetings, everyone. I am trying to figure out something kind of interesting. And maybe I need to see if I can find these books and maybe confirm that. Um, Here's a theory that I have, and it's regarding Where's Waldo? I feel like in the vast majority. Oh, let's try something different here. Yeah, let's try here. In the vast majority of the stuff, like the books or the posters or whatnot, um, when you find Waldo, Waldo's generally looking at you as the seeker. I could be wrong, but I feel like perhaps you've always been found by Waldo first. And I think in most cases, and again, I could be wrong with this, he would be amongst the only ones really paying attention to you. I think you could find pictures of others who might be looking at you, but I think genuinely and generally, he's looking at you when you find him. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to draw my own version of Waldo. I think over the years, he's kind of changed a little bit, well, since 1987. So I couldn't even tell you if he's nearsighted or farsighted or any of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so if you're into the books or the posters or whatnot, there are other characters that sometimes will show up, and maybe in the video games and stuff as well. There's like Wenda and Wizard Whitebeard, and he has a dog named Woof. So you can find them sometimes too. There's even kind of like a Wario version of Waldo, where it's Waldo spelled backwards, like Odlaw. So that exists as well. In my mind, I'm kind of making him a combination of like Jay Leno and David Letterman. I could be wrong with that, but that's how I'm kind of putting him in my head. I am going to give him his toque, though. And because I have to try to figure out stuff in my head, I kind of divide stuff up. So, different kind of hair. Let's see here. I'm sectioning off strands here in case you're wondering what I'm doing. Yeah. I think genuinely and generally, the hat tips up much further, but I'm keeping it low just to see. Well, I see why now. Okay. Something like that. I used to be pretty decent at finding those things. So like word searches, I was pretty good at those. Kind of like strange pattern recognition things. I was always kind of good at that stuff. But I think that's generally, going back to Waldo, is how I found him was I would look for the character that was kind of looking at me. Although I think there are certain versions of the posters where he might be doing other things. But I think generally, yeah, he'd be waving back at you with his walking stick or something like that. At least that's the way I picture it. Kind of a slight build too. Sort of a long body. I don't know if he tucks in his shirt. I don't know if that matters as much. My goodness, I don't know if I need to have him waving. Well, I must say, I don't know if I enjoy this as much. Although I do think it's iconic for him to have a striped shirt. Something like that. should say that at the moment I'm just kind of doodling from memory. I did look at some of the original artwork, but I don't have it in front of me. As you might hear me say, I do think that's fun to try to do. I feel like the stripes were a lot maybe thicker. But I do remember counting 5. So I might have already set something apart in my brain where I was working on something. Five including the collar, mind you. Oh well. I don't know how many of you do that as well, where you try to remember certain things. Like, for example, with the hair, I figured there were 8 parts to the main part of the hair. So 5 strands going that way, and then 3 independent, which is how I tried to remember that pattern thing. Which is why I think I was good at finding Waldo. Let's see here. Something like that. Let's go with brown hair here. I think that's kind of fun when you think of some of those search kind of things that you can do in order to find things. Kind of like if I see new tiles installed on someone's floor, I might pick up that there are, let's say, 7 different patterns, and I see where they repeat. That is a weird and wonderful thing. Now, right now, let's see. For my version of Waldo. Although I do think that this one's very similar to the original. Oh. But for this tribute version, I think it's pretty close. interestingly, the 1987 version seemed to be a bit more detailed than later versions. Perhaps I'm wrong in thinking that. I don't know if that came from just like drawing the character over and over and over again. You kind of refine things. You notice that in people's comics as well, in the paper. Things kind of change. Or if you go to concerts a lot, you'll notice that the stuff that they play at the beginning of the tour versus the end of the tour, like they've played it so many times so that it's almost like they find wonderful little shortcuts. It's like, again, muscle memory kind of stuff. So perhaps Martin Handford, the creator of Where's Waldo, just sort of picked up different things. Or in some cases, they have different people do the artwork after a while. Jim Davis, I think when he started, he was the only one working on the Garfield comics. And eventually, he had like a team of like 4 people, something like that. Like he would kind of like sometimes pencil scratch in some ideas, and then somebody else would come along and they would elaborate. I think what I'm going to do is just define the cheeks a little bit there. A little bit of the fish. Yeah, define the jaw just a little bit there. Add some darker outlines there. Create just a little bit of shade underneath the jaw. Although he doesn't need an Adam's apple, we'll give him just a slight one. And we'll know that he has a bit of a collarbone here. You know, some part of this, in a weird way, reminds me of the Bing Crosby character from, like, not Frosty the Snowman. What was the other claymation thing? Kris Kringle story or what have you. Has a chin like this as well. Anyway, that's interesting. That just kind of popped into my head. I'll have to review that, because it could just be the way that I drew it. Has nothing to do with the original artwork. I think the way that I'm drawing this pom-pom here reminds me a little bit of the truffle tree that I drew on Earth Day. Okay. Well, I think that's kind of it, just for doodle's sake. Doesn't have to be any more than that, just an idea. All I'm doing now really is just adding more strange detail unnecessarily. Here's another thing that popped into my head. I don't know if any of you recall this, and maybe I'm wrong. Some part of the distance between this smile and this, which could be where the bottom row of teeth inside the mouth would meet up with the chin. This, weirdly enough, also reminds me of the animation with Carol Burnett. I'll have to look that up as well. It's weird how your mind works with these kinds of things, just reminders of. I could be completely wrong, but I feel like the animation for that show. Anyway, I can kind of recall in my mind her character pushing a mop, like just mopping up after the show is over and the credits are rolling. And having a face like this. That'd be funny. I'll have to see how far off I am with that. Right now I'm kind of overworking some part of this just a little bit. It's a weird part of the processing, you know? Now, I do believe he wouldn't have eyes like this. I want to darken those just a little bit. I think I should leave this alone now. Well, I think that was easy to find, don't you? I didn't have to look too hard to find Waldo. So, let's call it this. We don't have to answer questions with this. We know where Waldo is. He found us, of course, before we even started looking for him. So yeah, I'll have to look that up just to figure that out as well. But I feel like he's always been kind of like, when you find him, it's like he's there and he's already been waving at you, trying to get your attention. But I think there are some pictures where, yeah, he might be busy playing with the dog or something like that. Anyway, folks, thanks for hanging out for a moment. And yeah, well, and I should say this as well. Happy belated birthday to Bella. And well, I hope everyone's having a great weekend. All right, that's it for now.